Well, hello, my friends, and welcome to another episode of A Journey Back to Health. Thank you for joining me. As always, I am your host, Perilous 3D, but you can call me Matt. Where to begin? Well, since my last recording, a lot has gone on, and yet nothing has gone on in some ways. But I guess that's the process, is we push ourselves to our limits. I even pushed myself slightly beyond my limits just to see what I was capable of, and I was pleasantly surprised. But then there's no substitute for rest after such a vigorous physical exertion. So suffice it to say that the last couple of days have been a little on the low key side. I've been resting and relaxing and recovering from that pretty intense workout that you may have seen on my blog. So for those of you who haven't been reading my blog, I'll kind of bring you up to date on how that went. So, a couple of days ago, on day three of my journey here, I did my first workout. It was a benchmark workout, and when I say benchmark, basically what I'm saying is I wanted to test my limits, and I succeeded in doing that. Before I continue here, I'll just say, bear with me because I'm a little tired. I just woke up. It's fairly early in the morning, as you can see by my face here. That oh wait, you can't see my face, but my eyes are fairly puffy. See those puffy eyes? Yeah, I just woke up, so bear with me. I might be a little stumbly with my words. So it was a really good benchmark in the sense that, like I said, it brought me to my limits, and because I'm, a stubborn bastard, I push a little bit beyond those limits. I wouldn't suggest for any beginner to do that, but I feel like I'm in tune enough with my body to know when I've had enough and when I've gone too far. And as I said before, I have pushed it way too far before in the past and injured myself, so I kind of know that threshold where your body just gives out and says, no, I've had enough. So all this to say that I had a really, really good benchmark workout. You can check it out. I'll put the link for that in the description here below if you want to check out the actual workout that I did and how many reps and sets I did of each. Um, some would say it was a fairly basic workout. I joke around on my blog that some people are going to think, um, that's a lot for day one, which it was. It really is. And if you're a beginner like me, I wouldn't suggest that you push yourself quite that much, unless you're in relatively good shape and um, you feel like that's something you want to do and you trust your own judgment. Go for it. But just be aware of the risks. Be aware of the fact that if you're not properly warmed up, or you're not careful with what you're doing, or aware of your limits, you probably will injure yourself. And by injuring yourself, you're basically sabotaging your own progress because what happens is when you get hurt, you lose all your momentum. And then you have to start from scratch. You have to wait and heal first, and then you have to start from scratch. And for a lot of people, that's what derails them from their whole program. So, and that's exactly what happened to me last time. I hurt my shoulder because I pushed it a little too far. I'm pretty sure it was the pull-ups that did it because wow, those pull-ups when you're first getting started, they're killer, especially on the shoulders. And I didn't do enough research on form, and I have a feeling that I was just doing them wrong. So, or maybe just pushed myself too much. So, um, I know that feeling. I know the feeling of getting hurt and then losing your momentum and having to start over. So just be aware of that and play it safe. Um, the other thing with the the pull-ups was that they really taxed my body, and I was doing other stuff as well, like large sets of of reps for push-ups. Basically, I pushed my body too far the last time, and what happened was that I had gotten a really good workout. Um, and again, probably went too far, but I didn't realize. And I didn't wait long enough to recover before I went into another workout. I was imagining myself working out 5, 6 times a week, which when you're getting started, that's not a good idea. You want to trust your body and listen to your muscles and wait for them, excuse me, basically to tell you when you're ready for another workout. So my workout was 3 days ago at this point when I'm recording this video. Um, the workout itself lasted in terms of time probably about an hour and a half. So I was taking my time doing it. I was making sure that for as many of the exercises as possible, that I was doing 2 seconds down, 2 seconds up. And what I mean by that is, let's say I'm doing a bench press. I'm doing it really slowly. I'm not doing this stuff. You know, you see these weightlifters that just up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down. Like I'm not sure what that's exercising. Basically, you're just bouncing the bar off your chest, or you're using the momentum and the energy that's built up to just push it back up. You don't have a full range, and you're not using your muscles to do the work. So I make sure to, when I'm going down, that I'm going down 2 seconds, and then I'm going up 2 seconds, right? And it's the same for everything. Same for my pull-ups. I'm going down 2 seconds and up 2 seconds. Same for the dumbbells. Same for everything. Basically, I'm taking my time with it. I'm making sure I get a full range in each exercise, so that I'm maximizing my workout. And boy, let me tell you, after my workout, I was afraid that I hadn't pushed it far enough because I wasn't sore. I was tired. Sure, I was tired. My muscles were very tired, but I wasn't sore per se. Now, let me tell you, the next day when I woke up, I was sore. I was very sore. And but it was a good sore. It was a good pain, right? It's the kind of pain you want to experience because it means you've had a good workout, and you push yourself to your limits, right? I wasn't sore in the sense of being hurt. I was sore. My muscles were sore. My muscles were sore from having, um, you know, been exerted more than usual, and I knew that I was going to have to give myself a few days to get back to where I could do another workout. Having said that, 3 days later after my workout, I'm finally now starting to feel like I'm ready for another workout. Okay, so that gives you an idea. I had to rest and abstain from my exercise routine for, 48 to whatever, 3 days basically. So my math sucks. So that's 72 hours, 48 to 72 hours, something like that. Okay. Now, granted, I could have been doing cardio, which is probably a good idea between workouts. There's no reason not to do cardio every day. It's not going to aggravate your muscles. It's not going to delay your recovery. For a lot of people, myself included, because I was so sore, it's not motivating to want to do any cardio, but you should. You really should. So that way there you do continue building steam, and you don't get rusty during your off days. So I would highly recommend, and I'm speaking to myself just as much as my viewers, that you do some cardio on your off days, whether it's just 10, 15 minutes of walking or running, or whatever gets your heart pumping and elevates your breathing, and you know what cardio is. Just do some cardio between workouts. That's all I'm saying. And I really need to enforce that within myself as well. So, as far as the workout itself goes, I'm just going to quickly go over this um, with you, and I'll just bring up my folder here. Again, I'm not going to take too much time on this today, but I wanted to update you on how it's going. While I'm bringing this up, I will mention the whole soreness thing after a workout, and this can be concerning for people that are just getting started. Now, I've been working out off and on for for decades now at this point. So I'm aware of what muscle soreness feels like, if it's normal or not, if I've hurt myself or if it's just my muscles recovering. So I'm pretty, like I said, I'm pretty in tune with that. But not all people might be. So to give you a little information on that, basically what it is it's referred to as DOMS. Okay, DOMS. And again, I'll put all this stuff in the description if you want to check it out. But what it is it's delayed onset muscle soreness. And what it is actually is when you push your muscle past the point that it's used to, working, it develops these little microscopic tears in the muscles, and that's what causes the pain. That's what it's believed to cause the pain anyway. That, you know, plus the inflammation from the actual tears. So, which is what causes the pain, but it's also what allows your muscle to rebuild itself stronger. So, um, a figure that I threw in my blog as well, which I discovered from Scooby on YouTube, which you can also find here in the description. Um, he says that you only gain one thimble worth of muscle for every workout that you do. Okay. Now that don't bother looking that up because you're just like I said, you're just gonna find a whole bunch of arguments and forum posts back and forth about from trolls and muscle heads arguing. That's all you're gonna find. So don't even bother looking that up. But what it does, and I know that thimbles vary in size, right? So and there's it's what's contained within the thimble is a measure of volume and not weight. So I know all this stuff, but nonetheless, it gives you an idea of how slowly muscle builds, right? On average, a weightlifter is only going to gain 5 to 10 pounds of lean muscle per year. 5 to 10 pounds per year, and that's a good, right? That's a good gain. Um, some people might only put on 2 pounds a year. Some might be lucky and put on 15. But it gives you an idea per workout with the whole thimble analogy, how much you can expect to gain as far as muscle goes. And it's not a lot. It's really not a lot. So you're sooner likely to see the muscles themselves by having less fat on your body. Okay? Hope that makes sense. So by having less, body fat, you're able to see your muscles. And a lot of people confuse that with their muscles getting bigger, but that's not actually the case. Yes, you are building muscle mass, but you're not going to see it. You're probably not even going to see it for the first year or two. And even after a year, it's going to be hard to see 5 pounds of muscle on your body. After 2 or 3 years, yeah, you can look in the mirror and go, "Wow, my muscles have really built. They're bigger. They're stronger. I can see them." But again, that's going to be mostly due to having less body fat. Abs are a really, really good example of that. Now, ab muscles, um, you can work them out as much as you want, but if you've got that body fat there, you're not going to see them, right? So I don't really care so much about the appearance side of it. For me, and again, my goal is to be a more physically and mentally fit version of myself. So I'm not all about appearances. I mean, sure, it'd be nice to have people compliment me when I take my shirt off, but that's not the goal of this thing, right? For those few moments in my life where I'm actually gonna be shirtless in public, it's not worth it. What is worth it to me is to be a stronger, healthier, fitter version of who I am now, and that's the goal of this whole thing. So, all that to say that the DOMs can be something that may derail you from your progress, but don't let it do that. Um, Give yourself time to properly recover. And that's what I did after my workout. Um, I, I'm trusting my body to say when I'm back to normal. And, you use me as an example. 3 days. 3 days I had to wait. to do another workout. I might actually do one today. I am still feeling a little bit of soreness, so I might give it another day, and that's fine. If I can get in 2 or 3 workouts this week, I'll be happy with that. That's some good progress for me from, a week or 2 weeks ago having zero workouts, right? You got to pat yourself on the back and recognize the accomplishments that you do make, and that's what I'm trying to do. But as far as the workout goes, you can, like I said, you can check this out in the link below. But here's what I did. Basically, how I was filling this out was that I had it ahead of time. I decided on the type of exercises that I wanted to do, and I didn't look any of this stuff up. Um, I've been doing this stuff off and on for a few years, so a number of years actually. My dad and I were working out together when I was very young in our home gym. So I know how this stuff works, and I know how to target all those muscle groups. Again, this is not a professional benchmark here. This is just an amateur's version of what you could consider a benchmark training routine. But hey, it worked for me. So I'm targeting as many of those muscle groups as I can. So first of all, here I knew that it was very, very important to stretch, and you don't need to stretch more than once. You just stretch once all the way around, for me anyway, and that was good enough. So for reps and sets, I just put one here. But for the stretching, from what I read, you want to do that for at least 10-15 minutes. So I put 10 minutes here as a good starting point. In the description, I put, you know, I don't know what a lot of these stretches are officially called. I'm just doing them. I'm not focused so much on the terminology. But basically, I'm just alternating between, touching the ceiling, stretch, 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 touch that ceiling, and then down, touching my toes, and holding each pose for about 10 seconds. Next, I do these things that I learned in high school, in drama class, actually, dramatic arts. They would always have us warm up, and I don't know why you need to warm up for drama. Maybe because you're so animated doing things like improv and whatnot. Why injure yourself? I don't know, but hey, good thing I learned this stuff because I think it's a good stretching routine, and it really really helps if you're like me and you get your injuries are primarily in your shoulders. So to alleviate that or to prevent it from happening, basically, here's what you're going to do. So when I say I'm rotating my shoulders, here's what I'm doing. So I'm sticking my arms out, both arms. I wish you could see this. The camera on my phone sucks. But basically, you're sticking your arms out like this, okay? Both sides, okay? And what you're doing is you're imagining that on the end of your hand, you have a really long stick, okay, or a pencil. Let's just say there's a pencil extending from your middle finger, okay? And what you want to do is you want to draw on the wall little circles. You see that? So if I imagine that on the end of my middle finger I've got a pencil, I'm just drawing small circles on the wall, okay? Now what you want to do, and you're doing this with both arms again, you want to make the circles get slightly bigger as you go. Okay, so keep making them a little bit bigger, little bit bigger, little bit bigger. You're going to keep doing that, bigger and bigger and bigger, and take your time with this. Listen to your body, and if you've had enough, just stop, start again. But you're going to keep going until the point where you're doing major circles, big, big circles, and feel it. Feel that stretching in your shoulders. Keep going until you're doing, the widest range that you can with your shoulder. And then once you're done, shake it off, loosen up a little bit, do it again. This time, do it counterclockwise. So first do clockwise, and then you're going to do counterclockwise. Wow, it's hard to do circles when I'm filming it. It's kind of like a mirror. But anyway, once you've done your circles in both directions, Then you're going to do the same thing, but with your neck. So on the top of your head, you're going to imagine that you have a pencil going straight up, and on the ceiling, you're going to be drawing little circles like this. Okay? Might look ridiculous, but hey, this stuff really works. And I get a lot of stiffness in my neck. Sometimes I'll get a pinched nerve here. This exercise really helps for that. Especially if you do have that pinched nerve, this is going to give you some relief. So you're making your circles bigger and bigger and bigger to the point where you get a full range going on in your neck. And same with your shoulders, full range in the socket. Okay, then we're going to do the same thing again, but counterclockwise. And once you've done your neck, next you're going to do your legs. Right? So on the end of your foot, you've got that pencil there again, and you're just going to draw those circles. And you're going to be standing up, not like I'm sitting down right now. But you're going to be standing up. You're going to be doing these circles with your legs. And once you're done, you always do them in both directions. Do the other leg. And that's pretty much that. That combined with the stretching of, trying to touch the ceiling and then trying to touch your toes. Oh, and for the toe touching, that's going to be really tough for you at first unless you're really flexible. So what I do is I slightly bend my knees to make it a little bit easier to touch my toes. The point is you want to touch your toes. So however you want to do that, try to maintain good form. Keep your back as straight as possible. But by bending the knees a little bit, it lets you get usually enough to where you can touch your toes. And then as you start stretching and becoming more flexible, you can start to straighten out those legs, and that'll really stretch the tendons behind your knees, and it'll give your legs a good stretching for what it needs for this kind of workout. So other than that, let me see if I did anything else. I did do some other random stretching. I have no idea what these things are called, but basically you're putting your arm behind your head, and then with the other arm, I can't do this because I'm holding my phone, but I'll be reaching over and pulling the arm behind the head to stretch the tricep muscles. And I'll do the whole between stretchings. I'll do the whole washing machine thing where I'm just back and forth stretching my back. Trying to touch my elbows behind my back like we would have girls do in school. Can you touch your elbows behind your back? Let me see. Show me. Right? We'll just do that because it is actually a good stretch. And then I'll grab both my hands behind my back and I'll just lift my arms up to kind of stretch those biceps in the back a little bit. Other than that, anybody who's done some running knows this stretch, right? Where you grab your leg, and I think this was a dance in the 80s actually. I forget what it's called, but you're grabbing your foot and you're stretching the leg. You guys probably can't see that, but I hope you understand what I'm saying. Other than that, that's pretty much what I did for stretches, and that took up an easy 10-15 minutes on its own. So that was that. As far as the actual workout goes, I started with my crunches, and I did, I'm only doing one set of these because I didn't want to push myself. I knew this was going to take me to my limits anyway, and beyond. So I actually did my crunches on a yoga ball for the first time, which was kind of interesting. I was worried that I wasn't using enough weight because when I do my crunches, I always put a weight behind my head. In this case, I used the 10-pound weight, which one is that? That's the black one. If you look at my previous video on my blog, you'll see that black weight. That's the one I used behind my head when I did my crunches. And I was worried that I didn't use enough weight because my reps are pretty high. And again, here, remember that to have a good workout or to have a good a good range of reps is anywhere between 8 to 16, right? So I was worried here because I'm towards the high side as far as my reps, excuse me, because I'm at 20. I was worried that I wasn't using enough weight or that this was going to be too easy, but let me tell you, my friends, if you're not used to doing crunches, this is gonna work your abs. I'm guessing it's probably the combination of the yoga ball with the weight behind my head, but wow. One of the sorest muscles I had the next day after my workout were my abs. I was walking around all like this, like hunchbacked, to compensate for the fact that my abs were so sore. Um, some other muscles, and I'll touch on this a little bit in a moment, but some other muscles that were sore were my legs. Wow, I was really surprised that those were the muscles that were sore. I thought for sure my shoulders and my arms were going to be the sore ones, but no, it was the abs. The abs were by far the sorest muscle group, and I was really surprised at that. So, obviously I need to update this for the next workout that's actually a good range. So this proves, this shows that 8 to 16 is not written in stone. If your body's telling you the next day that 20 is a good number, then trust it. Don't go beyond that. Try and stay in that range until you're ready to move up in reps or in weight. And typically you want to move up in weight and not in reps, right? Because if you're doing, for my example I gave earlier, if you're doing 50 push-ups, then push-ups are not hard enough for you. You need to be between that 8 to 16 range on average, as a general rule of thumb. But um, yeah, so if you're doing 50 push-ups, push-ups are not a challenge for you. You're not gonna gain much from that other than just some basic exercise. So what you can do in that case, there's always a way to add resistance. So if push-ups are too easy for you, you throw on a backpack, put some of your weights in there. Start with 10, 20 pounds, do some push-ups, see how it goes. If you get closer to that 8 to 16 range, perfect. Then you know you're in the right spot. But 50 push-ups is too many. 50 of any rep is too many. You want to be in that range of, I'll even go so far as to say 10 to 20. Somewhere around that is a good starting point. Um, let me see here. I was gonna say something else, but I can't remember now. Let's move on. So, push-ups. Oh yeah, the other thing I was gonna say is if you're only able to do one push-up or zero push-ups, that's fine. That's okay. That's normal. And there's ways of making push-ups easier. Just like with any exercise, you can make it easier until you build up the strength to do it the conventional way. So, for example, with the push-ups, you could do knee push-ups, which is basically a push-up, but you're doing it instead of being planked, your body being planked like this, you're kind of leaning up against your knees. You got your knees down on the ground, and you're doing your push-ups, but off of your knees rather than your feet. If that makes sense. But then you could probably do closer to 8 on your knees, and then once you're getting closer to the 16, then maybe try going back to doing push-ups the conventional way. So that gives you an idea of how you can evolve in your workouts. So for push-ups, I actually did them on my knuckles because it's important when you're doing your push-up that your arm be straight. Your arm, when you're putting pressure, a lot of people will do the push-ups like this, right? You've seen everybody doing these push-ups like this. Well, that's horrible on your wrist. Your wrist is not at its strongest when it's like this. Your wrist is at its strongest when it's straight with the rest of your arm. So that's why you do them on your knuckles. Now, if doing push-ups on your knuckles is too much for you, you can put a cushion underneath to pad it a little bit. Or they actually have these handles, which I'll try and put that in the description as well so you can see what those look like. They have these push-up handles that you can get where you're holding onto it like a grip. And it's almost like a handle. It is a handle. It's a push-up handle, but it's like the handle to, I don't know, a drawer or something like that. It allows you to grip it, and I think they're even padded as well to give you a little less pressure on your hand. But the whole point is that your fist and your hand have to be in line with the rest of your arm. So that's very important. That's why I did it on my knuckles, not because I want to be some Karate Kid tough guy, but because That's the best way to do it. For pull-ups, and wow, these things were tough. Like I said before, I was really surprised. I'm always surprised, continually surprised at how hard these things are to do. Maybe it's just me, I don't know. But for overhand, I decided to do both just to see, right? Because overhand is gripping the bar this way, whereas underhand would be gripping the bar this way. So I did one set of each. And for the overhand pull-ups, I was only able to do two, then a small break. And by the way, that's what this means here. The dash after the first number is where I took a small break. And by small break, I mean anywhere from 10 to 30 seconds max. You don't want to lose your steam when you're doing your workout. So no more than, I would say, 60 seconds. You don't want to pause for more than 60 seconds between these reps. So I was only able to do two pull-ups on the overhand style, and then rest, then do one. I was barely able to get myself up, and then another one. And remember, when you're doing your pull-ups, you don't need to, there's this misconception where you need to get your chin above the bar. That's not what a pull-up does. You don't need to pull yourself all the way up. It's all about the motion, right? You want to get that workout in your shoulders and in your chest and in your arms. So just pull yourself up as high as you can go. You don't need to it's not a chin up, right? Because there's a difference here. There's a difference between chin ups and pull ups. We're not doing chin ups because I personally don't believe in that. We're doing pull ups. So don't feel this pressure to go above the bar. If you've pulled yourself up as far as you can go back down. And remember, try and do 2 seconds up, 2 seconds down, right? But I was only able to do two, then one, then one. And one thing I'll note here as well, I know this video is already getting on. Wow. Um, for breathing, a lot of people will tell you to breathe out when you're pushing, and then to breathe in when you're on the opposite. What I mean by that is, I'm doing a push-up. If I'm pushing, I'm exhaling, and then when I go back down, I'm inhaling. So it's like a pump, right? That's what they will suggest, but that's not the case. What you want to do, in my opinion, is you want to breathe as normally as possible. So when you're doing any exercise, just breathe normally. Make sure that you're getting enough oxygen. Make sure that you're not holding your breath and you're doing this. You don't want to be doing that. If you're having to strain that much, then your exercise is too much for you. The weight is either too high or you're just trying to push yourself way too hard and you're just going to get hurt. Not to mention that builds up blood pressure and builds up a lot of pressure in your head. There's all kinds of bad things that can happen to you. You can pop some artery or you can pop some capillaries. I wouldn't want to pop an artery. That doesn't sound good. But anyway, don't push yourself too hard and remember to breathe. Very, very important. But I noted here to myself for these pull-ups that they were really, really tough. And but I'm gonna leave the reps as is because I don't want to go backwards and use a chair. Um, and don't be afraid to do that if that's what you want to do. Personally, I felt like I didn't want to add the chair to my routine. And what I mean by that is that you can use a chair to do your pull-ups off of so that you're not just hanging there. And that just takes some of the pressure off. For the underhand, I was able to do a couple more. It was a little bit easier, but not by much. Three the first time, two after a break, then two after another break. So these things are really tough. I'm just going to leave that as is for now because I don't want to push it, and I don't really want to go down from there. So I'm going to leave that as is. Again, my 8 to 16 reps, I'm going to take that with a grain of salt. And I've decided for the pull-ups that I'm actually going to stay on the lower side of it. For curls, this was a really good range for me. I was using 20-pound dumbbells on each arm. I might add some of those Arnold curls at some point, which is having the bar, your bench press bar, which I have, I think 60 pounds on there right now, and you're just going to be doing your curls with the bar like this. But I think since this was such a good range that those would almost be overkill, especially for a benchmark workout. For laterals, what I mean by laterals is, and this is probably not the correct term, this is just always what I've called them, is I'm taking my weight, and here I'll just show you real quick. So I'm taking my weight and I'm doing up and then out. And that's, wow, that's too much weight for those. But um, for the laterals, the weight was a little high. So I should probably reduce that down 10 pounds. I wish I had a 15-pound dumbbell because that would be just perfect for me. Because I have a feeling 10 pounds might be a little too easy. But I'm probably going to try that because laterals, wow, they're really, really tough on your arms. And that's why I love them. They really work out your arms. After that, I did some tricep presses. And the range here is perfect. The range was perfect for me. 20-pound dumbbells on each arm. This is actually not correct. I need to fix this. I'm going to fix that right now. It was 120 pound. This was actually 120-pound dumbbell. And it was behind the head. So I'm gripping the 20-pound dumbbell with both arms, with both hands behind my head, and I'm pushing them up like this. Right? Not quite that fast, obviously. I'm going to be doing it slowly. 2 seconds down, 2 seconds up. But that really did work, and the reps were just perfect. And my triceps were sore. All my muscles were sore the next day, so I know it was working. Other than that, I did do a set of incline bench presses, and I had to look up the reason why that you put your bench on an incline. And basically, it's believed that by having your bench on an incline, that you're able to target the upper pectoral muscles versus the lower ones by having it flat. And I did a little bit more research, and I found that there's no disadvantage to having your bench on an incline constantly. And you guys can correct me on that if I'm wrong. But as far as I could tell, I'm just going to leave my bench on an incline because it does work all of those muscle groups, the arms, the chest muscles, the shoulders. So, and it is slightly easier for me in my setup to get that bar off of there when it's on an incline. So I figured I would just leave it that way. But if you want to suggest something else or bring up some points maybe that I'm not factoring in this, please let me know. So all that to say, that was a really good starting range for me. It's a little on the low side, but still close to where I want to be. So I'm going to leave that as is. 60 pounds, including the bar, was it's a good starting point for me. The reps are low, but like I said, they're manageable. For legs, I did more than I was actually planning to do for legs. I kind of just did this spur of the moment, and I'm glad I did because wow, my legs got a good workout. Especially I don't know what they're called, but the top muscles towards the sides of your legs. Wow, did they ever get a good workout? My calves got a good workout too, but those top muscles were really sore. So for the upper part of the leg, and that's what I mean here by upper. The reps were a little high, so I might add some weight to that in the future so that my reps are not quite that high because that's a little on the high side. Even after 2 pauses, 2 breaks, I was still able to push out 17 of those, so definitely too easy for me. And I noted here that I do have strong legs, so I should probably add a little bit more weight to that. But it was a good starting point, a good benchmark. For the lower part of the legs, which is basically the calves, I'm doing 50 pounds on, actually I've still got the weight set up, so here it is right here. Hopefully you can see that. But that's actually what I was using right there. So for the upper part of the legs, I had my legs in here, doing it this way, and then for the calves, for the lower part of the leg, I was actually laying on my stomach on the bench with my legs underneath here and pushing up, working the calves. So those the calf presses were actually perfect, very good range with 50 pounds. I did some squats as well because I know some people say that squats are terrible for your knees, which if you have bad knees, I would not suggest doing squats. But man, they're a good workout. They work out the muscle and they also give you a little cardio at the same time. So I love squats for that. I always do my squats first with weights. So I had a 5 pound dumbbell on each arm that I was holding straight out, straight out in front of me as I was doing my squats. And when I'm doing my squats, I'm doing the same thing here. 2 seconds down, 2 seconds up, doing them as slowly as I can, as thoroughly as possible, so that I'm getting the maximum workout. For squat, right after that, I jumped right into more squats without weights, and obviously I was able to do a lot more with, again, with my arms held straight out. This is very important because when your arms start to dip or sag, then you know you're getting tired, and that's when it's time to stop. Other than that, I decided to throw in last minute some calf presses, and what that is I'm holding the bar, um, the 60 pound weight with the bar. I'm holding those in my hand while I'm just basically standing on my tippy toes and up and down, tippy toes back to the heel. Lifting the heel up, back down. I'm sure you guys know what I'm talking about, but if you need more information on that, let me know. The reps are a little bit high on this. I might add some weight, but what I'm trying to avoid is having to interchange my weights on the bar because I just don't have enough to work with, and I don't want to constantly be putting weights on and taking weights off throughout my workout. It's just going to slow me down. So I'm trying not to change the weight that I have on that bar just yet. So right after my workout, before I lost my steam, I decided to jump right into a cardio session. And this was really, really basic, guys. What I did for my cardio, I just did 15 minutes of jumping jacks to failure, and then I'd switch right away to running in place to failure. And what I mean by that is pretty much for any exercise that you're going to do, you're going to want to push yourself to the point where you can't do anymore. Okay? You don't want to go beyond that point because that's overtraining. That's overexerting yourself. But you want to get to a point where you're pushing your boundaries. So you always want to take yourself to the limit. Okay? Um, if, the good range, like we discussed, is 8 to 16, and you feel like you can do 20, then do 20, right? Don't stop at 16 just because you've gotten to your 16. You got to push yourself to the limit. Not beyond, but to that limit. So for all exercises, you want to push to failure. And what that means, I believe it was, again, Scooby that said pushing to failure means that if somebody gave you $100 to do one more rep, could you do it? If you could, you're not at that. You're not at failure yet. To get to failure, to push to failure means, if somebody was offering you $100, it didn't matter. You could offer me $1 million. I cannot do another rep, and that's what you want to do every time, and that includes your cardio. So for my cardio, I was basically doing jumping jacks. Everybody knows what a jumping jack is. We all did them in school. Um, to the point of failure, and then as soon as I couldn't do any more jumping jacks. Immediately, I would run in. I would start running in place, and when I'm running in place, I'm holding my arms out, and I'm making sure that my knees are touching my hands. Right, running in place is not just little baby steps up and down, up and down. Running in place to me means your knees need to come straight up and touch your hand. Right. So when I'm running, I'm always making sure that my knees are coming up high enough to the point where they're touching my hands. So it's basic stuff. I'm sure you guys have all done that. And when I was getting tired, I was not doing this for 15 minutes straight, mind you. No, not even close. I'm as far as cardio goes, I'm still somewhat out of shape, so I'm only able to do maybe 2 minutes of jumping jacks, and then maybe another. After I failed that, I'm able to do maybe 30 seconds. And that's okay. That's okay because I was definitely pushing myself to my limit there. But even when I got tired to the point where I didn't want to do anymore, I still was committed to doing a full 15 minutes of cardio, and I think that's really important. Another important thing to note is that don't sit down when you're doing this. When you bring yourself to failure, keep yourself moving, keep the blood circulating, um, keep pace back and forth if you have to. Do what you need to do um, to keep that blood flowing while you're getting ready for another round of cardio or exercise or work or whatever you're going to do, what another set of reps. The whole point is you don't want to lose your momentum. So keep it going. Take little breaks. Do your cardio to the fullest. If you set out to do 15 minutes, don't stop at 10. Take a break for 2 minutes if you have to. But like I said before, you don't want to typically break for more than 30 to 60 seconds max. But make sure you do your full 15 minutes of cardio if that's what you set out to do. If you can only do 10 to the point where you're going to throw up, then do 10. But if you set out to do 10, make sure you do your full 10 minutes. So that's all I'm gonna go over today, guys. It's already a very, very long video. I have a bad habit of doing this, and I hope you're able to stick with me for these long videos. I think as I go along, these videos are going to get shorter and shorter. But for now, I really have a lot to share with you, especially from my first 3 days of this journey. I really wanted to share all this stuff with you and make sure you know what direction I'm going in. But in the future, these videos are going to be much shorter, I imagine, because I'm not going to have as much to share with you. And if you want more details on all of this stuff, you can follow me on my blog, which I'll put below here in the comments. Um, I'm also going to post in either this video or the next one, I'm going to post my music discussion and sharing group on Facebook, which the reason I'm including this is that I believe that music is a very, very big part of mental health. I always say that when I'm feeling a bit down and depressed, it's usually because I'm not listening to enough music. And if that's not the reason why I'm down, it sure helps to get me back to a good state of mind. So check it out, and if you like it, feel free to join. Just me and a couple friends right now, just sharing music and discussing. So I would love to build that audience because I think it would be a really good group to have some talks around different types of music. And I really love discovering new types of music, new music in general. So, share with me some of your favorite songs and bands, and I'll do the same as well. Other than that, I think I've covered pretty much all I wanted to cover. I did have a good recovery meal after my workout. One thing I will talk about really, really quick is the fact that some of you might be experiencing, and I don't know the medical term for this, but after a workout or even during, you might find that you're getting a little bit of nausea. And the reason for that is that you're not getting enough oxygen in your blood. Now, since I quit smoking, I find that this is not a problem for me. I did get a little bit of nausea after my first workout, but nothing close to what I was getting before as a smoker. So because of all that carbon monoxide in my blood, it was happening a lot more. And I'll look this up and find out what the actual medical term is, but basically it's a result of not getting enough oxygen and possibly not drinking enough water throughout your workout. So you always want to make sure you have a full glass of water or a bottle of water to drink from as you're going through so you don't get dehydrated. So typically this nausea is caused by A, lack of oxygen, and B, dehydration. So you want to make sure you cover those bases. Um, the other thing I was going to say is it's important to eat after, not just have a shake or protein shake or chocolate milk. Um, it's important to have a meal and to eat because let's face it, your body has gone through pretty drastic stress and it needs to rebuild itself. And from what I understand, that window where you're going to absorb the most amount from your food is between 30 minutes to, or I should say, right after your workout to about 30 minutes to 60 minutes. So you want to eat no more than an hour after your workout. That's the theory anyway. I don't know if that's necessarily true or not. That's what I'm following. And again, if you guys have some information that would say otherwise, please share it with me in the comments. I would really appreciate that. But basically, I had a very light meal, which was just a sandwich. Um, I had, what else did I have? I had a homemade granola bar, which we've been making our own granola bars for the last little while, and they're so delicious. They're way better than anything you could buy at the store. So I highly encourage everyone to make their own granola bars. And all that is just find your own recipe. But I mean, all it is just hemp granola, some honey to keep it all together, some crushed nuts, unsalted, of course, some mixed nuts that were just crushed up, and honey like I said, to keep it all together, and a little bit of peanut butter as well for consistency. And that's it. You just bake it in the oven until it comes together, and it's amazing. They're delicious, and it gives you all the protein that you'll need after your workout. Because as we know, nuts and granola just are packed with protein and stuff that you need to rebuild muscle. So yeah, a light sandwich, which was turkey, no fat necessarily, on a Kaiser roll. And I ate the bread, and bread has carbs and blah blah blah. But hey, I'm just getting started on this. I'm nowhere near a point where I'm going to start counting calories or protein counts or anything like that. So other than that, I did have a pickle, which I mentioned in my blog that I only ate several hours after because milk and pickles do not agree with me. I think it's because they curdle up in your stomach, and for me, I'm just not able to process that. So I always have my pickle, well after I've consumed any dairy products. I did take a couple of supplements after the workout as well, just to cover all my bases. I took some omega, two omega 369 supplements, and I took one probiotic, and I actually took a multivitamin, which was probably overkill because I had more than enough vitamins and minerals in my meal. Um, and I'll explain why in just a second here. But the multivitamin, I just wanted to make sure that I was getting everything I needed, but it was more than enough just in the meal. Now I did also have a smoothie and a glass of chocolate milk. In the smoothie, it was pretty much blueberries, blackberries, raspberries. It was a berry smoothie essentially, and then I added my mix, which I talked about in the last video, and I posted on my blog. If you want to know more about the ingredients in my mix, my nutrient mix, then check it out. But it's basically just creatine, 100% creatine. Um, what is it? Monohydrate, I think. There was some whey protein, 90% whey isolate. Um, what else do I have in there? Super greens, which is basically a whole bunch of green vegetables and ground up, made into a powder. So that's probably where I would get the majority of my vitamins and minerals anyway. So I didn't really need the multivitamin. What else did I have in there? Oh yes, and I put some matcha green tea, which again is very, very expensive but extremely good for you. So I put a teaspoon of each into my smoothie, blend it up, and 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 put that and drive that into me, and it was really good. I didn't taste the powders at all. Like the if you've ever had kratom, you know that taste, that disgusting taste. Well, the super greens kind of have a similar taste to kratom, but in the smoothie I couldn't taste it at all. So it was delicious. It was perfect. Um, Another thing that I've discovered here, really quick, and I'll share with you, is that apparently cherry juice helps for the post-workout inflammation, and it helps to relieve some of that soreness from the DOMS. So incorporate that into your smoothie if that's what you're doing after your workout. I mean, obviously you're not going to put that in a milkshake, but check out some 100% cherry juice and incorporate that into your nutrient intake somehow and see if it helps you. I had some of it yesterday, and I'm pretty sure that it did help. It brought down the inflammation a little bit where my muscles weren't quite as sore. But other than that, like I said, I did drink a glass of chocolate milk with my post-workout meal just because it's been found recently that chocolate milk is probably the best recovery drink you can have for your muscles because it just has everything in it. It's got the carbs, it's got the protein, you know, it's got everything that your body needs to rebuild muscle. So way better for you than, say, a Gatorade or something like that. It's just basically a bunch of sugar. And for our electrolytes, I just ate a pickle. That's all you need. So that's pretty much it, folks. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I want to cover. I know this is already again a monster of a video, but I'm gonna try not to do that again as much in the future because I won't have as many things to share with you. My life is rather uneventful, but I think I covered pretty much everything I wanted to say. I do want to thank you sincerely again for tuning in and for reading my blog. I really, really appreciate it, guys. And I would love to see more of your comments and your suggestions and your thoughts around what I'm doing. And join me on my journey and share with me your journey and how it's been going for you and any tips or maybe some obstacles that you've come across along the way to your health. So let me know how it's going for you. For me, after my workout, a few days ago, I'm feeling better, and I'm probably going to do another workout. If not today, I'm going to do one tomorrow. So I'll keep you posted on that. But that being said, I want to thank you once again for joining me, and I hope that you'll join me again next time for another episode of A Journey Back to Health. Thank you, everyone. Take care. Bye bye.